All right, and we start with the race for this hour. Now, one ANC court case has been settled out of court. Another group in the Eastern Cape says they will appeal after the application against the current pro-Ramaphosa PC was dismissed with costs in the High Court sitting in Grahamstown. Now, to dissect the developments in the ANC's 3 days before the conference, we're very pleased to welcome from our Pretoria studios once again political analyst Professor Lesiba Teffo. Prof, a very good afternoon to you once again. Look, Matthew's Pausa in and out of court settlement today. I'm dying to find out what conversation you think actually took place here. And I'm confused now, Prof. Were there actual voters for unity as a candidate, or people did in fact abstain? Which one is it, Prof?
I think, look, I have always seen Matthew Pausa as not necessarily too serious about his presidential campaign and ambitions, but that being a tactical move, especially him and Jeff Hadere. You have not seen them being very visible in this, neither can you say they really have their heart into it. But I think it's about tactics and strategy. Now, coming to the question in particular, I think there's been some conversation and possibly Matthews was very amenable to a solution that says, well, if you do away with the unity and the votes could go to whoever, then it's fine. And I think that was agreement. Then you can proceed, and then the votes can go to whoever. And I don't think it's necessarily about him, but I think it's about ensuring that the candidate that he has in mind will benefit out of that 233. And like I said before, I don't think it's about Ramaphosa getting 100%. 30% in KwaZulu-Natal and 30% in Mpumalanga should be sufficient to carry the day for him. So I think there was a compromise, there was a tete-a-tete, and then there is this, and I think now they will go ahead to the conference, possibly more divided, but at least with distinct mandates in their minds, regardless of whoever is given the mandate.
Prof, but now more news of judges this time urging the politicians and party members not to rush to courts, particularly the ANC members, and wait for internal party disputes. And yet the Eastern Cape branch still wants to go ahead with the appeal after the dismissal. A very clear ruling there, Professor, that everything was actually done by the book. We're seeing factionalism for those who don't want to accept defeat yet again. Will there ever be an end to the spiral once again, Prof?
Appeal against the appeal. Luckily for them, those who are appealing, at least the legal system in South Africa makes room for that. But what does it say to the ANC as an organization? Faith and trust in internal systems has been lost, not by the outsiders, by the membership itself, precisely because when they were called upon, the leadership failed to intervene and take decisive decisions unambiguously and indeed with an impartial view. They've lost trust in them in that, because all of them, they are seen to be factionalized. They are seen to be partisan. Now, what does it say? If they were to want to proceed with this, the appeal, of what material effect would it have on the elections or on the proceedings on Saturday? Indeed, what would be the impact of the pending court case in the Free State as well on the proceeding next week? Because some may say, we have these proceedings that are pending, so some of you are not legitimately here until there is a pronouncement. Should we not defer this conference to a later date? That becomes a real possibility. And it could come from the floor, from the interested parties or the contesting and parties, or any other neutral party who might feel less prone or inclined to winning the day.
But then, Prof, what would that mean? Should those points then rise from the actual floor at the actual conference? Could this mean that maybe the conference then has to be postponed, like we had suggested the other day, or that it has to be totally redone at another stage?
Look, the way things are for me, are not particularly encouraging. I'm desirous and wishing indeed that it could go ahead. But if you look at all these court cases, there is this other person I suspect quietly and waylaying them, who may stand up and say, rightly and legally so, that as per the constitution of the ANC itself, yes, we haven't followed the procedures. And given other outstanding legal matters that are still before the courts, is it not prudent, therefore, to postpone the conference? Yeah. That debate may arise. And then how it would ultimately be concluded is another matter. It would be easy if indeed they were not so divided and so factionalized.
But then, Prof, you know, we mentioned this again yesterday. I mean, what does it say about the current state? I mean, I know this espouse divisions, deeper divisions within the party, but we were saying yesterday that the rushing to courts and just before the conference is not going to be helping the ruling party to try and unify itself. Now, I mean, like you were saying just now, how does it help for these people to now go and appeal a court ruling which is very clear and states that the processes were followed? Because what grounds do they have to appeal?
Yes, you see, I think it's all about politics. Now they are playing games, unfortunately, using the courts, and the courts for me are sacrosanct. Let's leave them there and do our games. But those who play politics must never forget, politics can also play them. That is how it goes. I think those who are in the Eastern Cape doing what they are doing, they mustn't forget that others may try to play the same game in KwaZulu-Natal. Because these are two examples, fairly different and informed by interests of particular factions.
Absolutely.
But they seem to be playing themselves differently. But others may want to pursue and emulate what is happening in that other side. But again, on the positive side, I'm saying maybe there are lessons to learn from what transpired in Pretoria today. Last night, apparently, they spent good time negotiating and ultimately they found each other. I'm saying let them invite and invoke the expertise available in South Africa across the religious spectrum, the elders and so on, who can come in and try to reconcile them and say, it's more about, it's not about the country for me now. Yeah. It's about the ANC. Absolutely. And saving the ANC. That's because true. Government is running, government is going on. We can only be concerned about government possibly in 2019. But as things are, it's a brudertess, it's a family affair. And it is possible, maybe if the elders step in to help them. But am I optimistic about that? No. Because the elders did come on board, yeah, and they were not listened to, yeah, when they invited them to help them.
That's true. All right, Prof, a very quick one before I let you go. Just when it comes to the elections, of course, we know that in the Free State, Ace Magashule retained his position pretty much uncontested. In fact, most of those in that PC were re-elected without much contestation, with only the former speaker calling them to say that they won't even attend because they know they're not going to retain the position. Are we starting to see a certain trend when it comes to how certain provinces vote on their preferred leadership, Prof?
Yes, look, is it not interesting
that
after 23 years of leading the province, that Ace Magashule still avails himself? Now, the strong man mentality begin to set in and take firm root when individuals start to think without them there can be no life, that everything should revolve around them. I think he has served the province fairly well. He should have just stepped aside, just out of sheer principle that after 2 consecutive terms, maybe I should give others. Now he's aspiring to lead the province for another 30 years. And then you blame Mugabe, you blame others when they want to be life presidents. So that is it. But at the same time, what is the legitimacy and the credibility of the outcome of yesterday, when the sizable chunk didn't step in to participate, especially those who are aggrieved, especially those who say, by the way, there are legal matters still pending that the court prescribed that they should be addressed before the conference can proceed. Absolutely. So you are proceeding in violation and in contempt of the court. Are we not going to see them approaching the court to say, yesterday's proceedings were legitimate? Are we not likely to hear the court says, we nullify that, therefore those who were elected cannot proceed? The situation for me, vis-a-vis Free State and Eastern Cape, is becoming too murky to say the conference can proceed on Saturday without major hiccups.
Yo, Prof, thank you so much. And you were just saying yesterday that all the good politicians within the ANC have just decided to leave matters as they were, which we'd find here that they probably didn't even want to participate in this elective process. But thank you so much for that sound update. That is Professor Lesiba Teffo, always giving us great analysis. He is joining us from our Pretoria studios. It is time for the sports news now. Simpiwe is standing by. He's been here for a while. Good afternoon.